Welcome to the Legacy of Luxury from beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. Jaron, what did you do to make the weather so perfect, my man?
Nick, this is the best. Now, the only thing about it is I haven't played any golf, so this is just not good.
Yeah, well, you're in a rush, bro. That baby is due, and you are lucky you made it this far, my friend. So I think golf should be the last thing on your mind,
Yeah,
and
you're
being
right.
daddy to a third should be the first thing on your mind. But that being said, it's a pretty nice time to play some golf right now, my man.
Sure is. But don't worry, Allie, I'm coming home, baby.
So we got a lot to talk about. I really want to be. We've gotten so many great interviews as we always do. But what has stood out to you? So this is the show. We've begin the year off. We're leaving our Vegas trip. We put the stuff. We had the holidays. Now it's kind of planning. What are you seeing out there? What are your takeaways? As usual, we'll go with the expert, and then we'll go with the ignoramus to talk about what he's seen and what he's figured out. But what have you seen, my man?
Yeah, listen, I am shocked and surprised and also excited that we have seen a lot of heavier gold jewelry here. And as gold prices, we've talked about on the show many times, right, about where gold prices are going. And nobody is staying away from it. It's like they've actually doubled down.
Yeah.
They've gotten thicker and
Yeah.
heavier rings and bracelets. We've picked out some amazing stuff that I'm so excited about. Men's jewelry lines are getting launched here, which
Yeah.
again are very gold intensive. And, honestly, we bought into it without much of a problem. I think the price points are actually a lot better than I was expecting. The perceived value of what I was looking at was there. And I was really excited.
That's probably
about
raised too, because you're thinking in the backyard, oh my God, gold's so high. So if they're pricing at a point that's underneath it, the perceived value because of the price of gold is actually being raised. And I think you see that. I think that's going to cause some chaos a little later when jewelry comes down, because if it keeps that perceived value, then everyone's going to want to stock up on it like crazy, because you're thinking it's 5,000, it goes back down to 3. It's like, oh my God, that's almost you pulled half of it away. But yeah, it is the most fascinating thing for me is the diversity of metals. We saw people with 22 karat. I didn't think I was going to see that at the price of things. You go on 22, but then you see people rolling out 10, and there's practical application there. And how we're using silver, how we're using platinum, how we're using palladium,
Right.
like those. That is such a part of it. And I might be more aware, but I just didn't see that previously. And I think everyone's trying to get clever. And we got a lot of good answers from people on the uses of color versus diamond. So I think it's fascinating. Is there any piece that stood out to you? We'll talk about interaction, but is there any piece that stood out to you?
No, I definitely want to mention a trend that I've seen, and I would love any comments that anyone can share on it, as well as far as what the people think, the consumers out there that we talk to. But here, I can tell you right now, everybody sees floral as an absolute avenue going forward, whether they're integrating it into the head of the ring. And we're sitting outside Takori right now. They just made a whole new collection based on floral. So we are seeing a lot of floral-based jewelry and rings, and I am very curious to see the reaction to the consumer as we go throughout that, this year. They've tied some big money, a lot of these vendors, into floral being a thing. And I got nothing against it. I actually think it's quite pretty. But, is the classics going to hold up, or will floral make its way in?
Yeah. And I think that, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I think that are some pretty weird times. COVID is just like, there's a lot of negativity. And I think floral represents hope and future growth and all of these things. And I think that's why it's making its way. People want to look and be like, they want something to make them feel better. They want something to make them happy. And I think that floral, and I also think floral's a winter going into spring thing. JCK, it's 100 degrees outside. You're thinking about the fall. It's not as much of a floral time.
Right.
And they're weaving it interestingly, right? It's not just like a flower. It's these kind of looks like ivy falling down and the patterns and everything. So whether it's here or stay, I don't know. But I think for the next year, you're going to see a big focus on it. And I'm curious to, like you said, what the consumers think about it and what they do with it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Now, Mr. Nick, this is your second show.
Show.
And we went to Vegas.
We did go
We
to
went
Vegas.
to the dungeon.
We did
it all. The Gypsy Flea Market. So now we are in sunny Arizona. What are you thinking? All right. What do you think of this show? What's the biggest difference to you?
Yeah.
What's some pros? What's some cons? What do you think?
Yeah. I think the coolest thing was we started our day at an outdoor cabana, and we were in the sun, and it was gorgeous out, and we were seeing everything, which was the coolest part about everything, because like energy is different being outside. It's dry. Its sun is perfect. It's incredible. But as you told me, this is kind of like people hanging out. Like this is our campus and we get to play around. Vegas is nobody's. Okay, this resort feels like it's ours. It's the industries that we get to play and have these secret conversations, and like everyone's, it's like if there was cameras, this could be a reality show.
Yeah.
Right? Vegas it doesn't work that way. So I've been fascinated. My favorite thing that I've seen though was by far when we went to go check out the 22 karat gold with the antiquities, and just feeling for the first time how different the hue, color, and texture of that kind of gold was versus 14. That would have, if I was not involved in this, I would have never picked that up. But I
Right.
saw it. I saw a place where we saw some silver stuff, and I was like, that's too dainty. If we're going to go silver, why not go with the bigger pieces that we make in gold and kind of attract? Why go dainty? So I
Yeah.
think I'm picking up on things a little easier, and I'm developing some instincts. I didn't say they were right or wrong. I just said I'm developing instincts. But any experience stand out for you? I mean, they've all been great, but was there an experience that stood out to you?
No, you know, I think, listen, I've had a couple of experiences that, you know, some of the vendors have rented out some really nice places.
Yeah.
They've got a bar there.
Yeah.
They were smoking old fashions last
That
night.
they were.
You know, so that's a really interesting part to like go up to a bar and then go shop for your jewelry. You're making a decision for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an interesting. And then the other ones, we've had a little more serious conversations.
Yeah.
A little bit more negotiations going
Yes,
on.
that we have.
But you know what? We're not going to name any names, but you know, we just sat down a little earlier with somebody who is a player in the industry for us, and we had a tough conversation. We didn't even walk away with a solution, but he and I both got up, gave each other a hug,
Yep.
and said, no matter what, we're going to be friends. I think that's just the coolest part about this industry is
Yeah.
we can all yell at each other, we can all
Yep.
shout, but you know what? It's such a small world.
Everybody hugs.
Everybody hugs.
I've got a lot of hugs from people I've
Lot
met
of hugs.
one half of a time before.
Not too many cheek kisses like I
Yeah.
get from in the South African community.
Yes.
At home, which I hate.
Yes.
So I love the hugs.
Lots of side hugs. It's
Lot
not
of
the
good
cheeks, it's
side
the side
hug.
hugs.
Yeah.
The side hugs, like, do we know each other? Yeah, no, look, I will give you credit. When we've been talking about how our plan of action was, I think we developed a strong strategy. We believed in what we were doing. And as a team, we came in understanding our strategy, which means even if we were separated, we had intention and deliberateness with what we were doing. But you seemed like a man on a mission this time. You seemed like you knew what you were trying to accomplish. You seemed like you even bought with more intent, not wasting around, hearing what they had to say. This is what we need. This is what our consumer needs. And I think that finger on the pulse of our consumers, not globally, but our consumers, is a very powerful thing. And I think it will pay dividends for the rest of the year.
I am very excited. We got some great jewelry at the show, and you're right. I was a little bit more laser focused, but you know, that's a part of what we've been doing, right? When we talk about marketing,
Yep.
we talk about all the strategy that we have, that actually plays into your decisions of what you pick out.
Yep.
You know, what can we tell a story of, right?
Yep.
And I think that we have picked out things that we can tell a story. We haven't picked out anything
Yep.
that's just generic and has nothing to it. It's going to be a lot of fun the rest of the year.
And we filled gaps in the inventory. What do we need? What story do we want to tell? How do these brands help us tell that story? As opposed to what we've been trying to push on us in the past is like, we tell our story. How do you fit into it? No. This is our story. How do you fit into our story? And it's not even a rude thing. It's just the business we have. We are forward facing with a group of customers who we have to hold accountable to,
Yeah.
right? The brands are not held accountable to see these people complaining and giving reviews. That's our accountability, which means we have to take that responsibility very much. Jaron, we got a lot coming up. We got a lot of content we're going to drop. As always, thank you for letting me be a part of this. I feel like I've grown immensely and since JCK, which has been wonderful. And I feel like you are a man on a mission, and I genuinely appreciate it.
I love it, Nick. Always love doing this with you. This is a lot of fun, and I'm excited. And I think everyone's going to enjoy the content from JCK coming up in Vegas. And I think they'll get a nice taste from Centurion here today. So stay tuned. We got a lot going on this year. Welcome back to the Legacy of Luxury. We are here in Arizona. I'm sitting with Joe Green, the head of the Centurion Show. Some people call it the Centurion Show. I call it the Joe Show. Because a lot goes into this. Joe, thanks for joining today.
Jaron, always good to see you.
Good to see you. And, you know, I just want to start for the audience. You know, Nick and I on our podcast talk a lot about the shows and what we're going to go see and a lot of jewelry jargon. But let's talk a little bit about when did this show start? What made it, you know, that, hey, I wanted to do this show. We've been to Vegas. We've done that show. Tell us a little bit about the differences, how the show came to be.
Well, actually, Howard Habben started the show 25 years ago. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. He had developed or co-developed some other shows within the industry, but he saw a need for something that was unique and special, something that wasn't simply transactional, but he recognized early on focusing on relationship development as part of business development. And I think that's been kind of a foundational element of what makes Centurion a little bit unique compared to other events during the year.
I love that. And so you're exactly right. The relationships here go deep into the archives. But tell us a little bit about how long does it take to put together this show? When do you know your capacity? When do you start planning? What's the busy time? How does the logistics work for you?
Well, so there's a lot of planning that goes into these shows. We're easily planning 18 months out. We begin actually register. We basically get everybody signed up in terms of our exhibitors. We kind of have a high renewal rate. After 25 years, people love coming back. That makes a big part of what we do very easy because we've got some great exhibitors and partners. And then we begin registering retail attendees as early as August. Here we are sitting in beautiful Arizona in February. But yeah, it's really the end of the summer when we start planning this. And people make their commitments that far out. And there's a lot of behind the scenes in terms of what it takes to not only put on the event, but a lot of coordination and logistics planning in terms of everybody committing to the show. And it's great. After 25 years, it really has become a part of everybody's calendar. It's kind of of course I'm coming. And then we just have to keep chasing them in terms of, arrival dates, departure dates, and all those fun items that are
You sent out the weather forecast, right, in February, and you're like, guys, it's freezing. Come to Arizona.
Yeah, it's going to be freezing where you are, and it's going to be beautiful here, as you can see in the background.
No, listen, as a retailer, right? I mean, we all look forward to coming to this show. And you're right. What do you think made Howard make the choice of this show is called The Legacy of Luxury. I would describe this Centurion show luxurious across the board, from where we're staying to just the way everyone's set up. We've got a great, retail over here in a cottage right in front of us and one behind us. Like, it's a very different feel. What do you think was the impetus for that versus just doing the all ballroom? And I'm young to it, right? I think I've been coming to the show for 8 or 9 years now, but did it used to be in a ballroom? Like, was it stuffy before? How does it work?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, there's been an evolution. You constantly have to navigate change through any business, and over time, the needs of the attendees change. So we still have ballrooms. We have over 210 great exhibitors and sponsors here at the show. And it's really more campus style here at this venue, the Arizona Biltmore. And that kind of ties into what separates us. And I think what people are seeking, which is they have had enough of the frenetic pace of just sitting down in transactional business environments. And I think there's always a need in my business, your business, to connect with the customer, really invest extra time in kind of developing the relationship as well as the business instead of just it being a transaction. So I think most people would describe that the vibe of a Centurion show is it's very laid back, casual, but highly productive.
I'd like to think, Nick, it's luxurious even when we talk about this. So
Legacy.
There is a legacy to this show of luxury, everybody. So, talk to us a little bit. I'm pretty darn excited. We are going to the Breakers later this year in sunny Florida. What a beautiful resort. I've been there before with my wife. Had an amazing time. What made you do that show? That's typically in September, October?
It's going to be in late August this year.
Late August, okay.
And yeah, it's really kind of a late summer show. So our Centurion event really has developed into the kickoff for the fine jewelry industry in North America. We have over 370 retail jewelry companies that fly in from Canada, Caribbean, and the US, some more easily than others, depending on weather and flight delays. This really kind of kicks off the year. And then, of course, a lot of business is conducted throughout the year, particularly in the middle. Las Vegas has always kind of been the epicenter, probably since you and I have been in the industry. Prior to that, it actually was in New York,
right,
at the beginning and the end of the year. So not intentionally returning to that format, but so many things have changed in the industry. Instead of hand-carved models that could take a month to build, now people are doing CAD/CAM waxes in hours, and you've got better insight in terms of sales. You understand your business so much better, so much faster than it was before. And financing's changed, obviously.
Yeah.
So to get a little bit closer to the end of the year made a ton of sense to us. And obviously, we always like being in a beautiful resort environment. You've been to the Breakers, it's absolutely stunning. And that's part of what makes a Centurion show a little bit different than everything else. And end of the year, we just want to kind of kick off and wrap up the end of the year, kind of start strong, finish strong.
That makes total sense. Well, we're excited for that. Give the listeners a little something, a little story. Give us a funny story. Give us oh my goodness, I had dinner set up and nobody brought chairs out there, or we had lunch and there were no tables set up. Give us I'm planning a show. I've got so many things to think about. So many things can go right, wrong, so many things can go right. We can take a success story, we can take a failure, but just something that maybe people learn from, biggest mistakes made, whatever, whichever direction you want to go with it. But, I don't think anyone realizes like what planning a trade show is like. And I think a lot of people listening to this go to a trade show, whether it's in the tech industry or the finance industry or the steel industry. Like everyone's got a trade show. You schedule these trade shows. It seems incredibly complicated logistically. Like, what's the hardest part about it, or just a funny story about it?
A lot of funny stories. I wish I had a chance to think about which ones I was willing to tell, but most often you can have a story where it turns into a positive at the end. We've had, some unfortunate incidents, obviously coming out of COVID, for example. That was pretty scary because
Right.
you don't know if trade shows are going to continue on. I think everybody realizes that they love the connection of coming together. And then, of course, you have everything from somebody, unfortunately, somebody put in the wrong year for somebody's arrival date. That tends to affect the check-in process at a hotel.
We've switched venues. Sorry.
Yeah, you were supposed to be here in 2025. What happened? But it always gets worked out at the end, but it's not for the faint of heart. There's always a lot that can go wrong, but usually everybody's understanding. Again, it comes back to that vibe, and they have confidence over 25 years. They know that we will find a way to take care of them.
I know that check-in, check-out process is quite the jigsaw puzzle that you're working with over there. So.
Every morning we get an update, who checked in, who didn't check in, and
I know I was one of those problems last year, by the way. But no, listen, Joe, thanks so much for having us out here.
thank you very much,
On behalf
Jared.
of, I think, all the retailers, to be quite honest with you, we love coming to this show. We think it's phenomenal. It's just a way to get away from the cold, get to be around friends and vendors that we've known forever. And you're giving us a platform to do it, and we really appreciate it.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I appreciate the time with you and Nick, and thank you very much for coming. We'll see you in the breakers.
Love it.
All right, thanks.